Okay, yes, y'all. This is the real Get Down. And we are going live. And I am your host. I am you, aka the Waterman. And I'm here to drizzle something in your brain still. I have two great persons to help me start off the real Get Down. I have Sister Anna Cat with me. I have Brother Lotus, better known the man from the Black Lotus civilization, and he is going to present something that is, bar none, a unique perspective of the origins of this black and white thing from a different perspective. I'm going to go ahead and allow Sister Anu Tech to go ahead and present herself. And then Brother Lotus, he will get into the presentation and dialogue today. And we're going to be kicking this around. So if get your popcorn, get whatever beverage you like to have, and any other extremities that'll help open up your neural passages, and we're gonna get in. Okay, take it away, Sister Anya Cat.
Greetings, I am you. Greetings, Brother Lotus. I'm here to learn, listen. I know you're gonna do it like I've watched you do it these last several weeks with profound information for the people. No game plan, just straight facts. Do your thing. Peace.
All
Thank you,
right,
brother.
Brother
I am
Lotus,
you.
go ahead and chime in and tell them exactly what we're going to express. What you guys heard was some the opening of the show was an old Looney Tune, black and white, of Betty Boo, and it was jazzed up. And the reason why we did that is because we want to take you from what has been presented to you as black and white and bring it into color.
Thank you, brother. I am you, and sister Anuket. The words mean more than I can really express. After years of, research and getting down to the origin of things, I find it almost a responsibility to correct a lot of the historical mistakes. And this is a topic that me and brother IMU have actually put some effort into getting down to the bottom of it. Also, on the side of that, me and brother Terry Sanders have also been digging into this, into getting down, and we've taken every corner that I guess you can say the social jargon, or no, let's say the social Pan-African way, which is to get a DNA test, which some of us here on the panel have had a DNA test, to get down to who we are and to show that we come from Africa and all these other things. So in that, we chose to find a more, uh, to say, traditional approach, a word to mouth to ear approach, and just pass down, more of a pass down lineage to lineage way of researching it by getting down to these families. So what we find here is that we have a topic here that is very important today, and it means a lot, and it's dealing with who we are and what has been going on. So I would love to start off by giving my source, and you can find this information on africaresource.com. Again, that's www.africaresource.com. Now, me, a Mu'un Rakati Adumi Ajuji, founder of Black Lotus Civilization Broadcast, and bringing Black Lotus Civilization BLC TV, that's Black Lotus Television, to the forefront so our brothers and sisters can get this real information. Now, I say real because, as you will see, Brother IMU, if you can click on my screen where it says the rise of the albinos in Europe. I believe that our viewers will be able to see the screen. And this is coming from Rasta Livewire. Rasta Livewire has given in the year, 2013, a very, very interesting story. And it's called The Rise of the Albinos in Europe. And you can research this person by his name. It's Mike 111, Mike, capital letters, 111. So, family, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, it says here is true history. The first wave of albinos from Central Asia were the albinos who invaded or joined the Greeks and Latins in Southern Europe. Now, family, as we can see, we have Central Asia, and we can say, where is Central Asia? That's not the Middle East. What is the Middle West? Where is Central Asia? So, most of us might find Central Asia to be certain other places. Some will say what is now called the Middle East. Some might call Central Asia the India area. We'll even say Mongolia. Well, where exactly is Central Asia? As we continue, we will get down to the bottom of this. So, as I said, the first wave of albinos from Central Asia were the albinos who invaded, joined the Greeks and Latins in Southern Europe. Now, at any time, family, questions, feel free. Statements, please bring them. Because now it's saying that the second wave of albino tribes, Germanics, Slavs, migrated, invaded, were driven from the east circa 200 BC to 600 AD. Now, it's very interesting that they don't give a date for the first wave, but they give us the dates of 200 BC to 600 AD. Now, we can use history and see the other things going along in the world around this time. Kind of gives you a grasp of what's happening between this span of 800 years of 200 BC to 600 AD. Here it is, though. They're driven from the east. So Central Asia, we have them migrating already, and they're already in a location with the Greeks and Latins, and now we have them between 200 BC to 600 AD being albino tribes of Germanics and Slavs, migrating and being driven from the east circa 200 BC to 600 AD. It is very important to understand that this whole movement of albino peoples from Central Asia may have originally been forced by the Huns. Many might be familiar with Attila the Hun, the stories of these warriors on horseback. But what's going on here is we have the albino peoples from Central Asia may have originally been forced by the Huns. As the Huns chased the albinos into Europe, the indigenous blacks of those areas were forced westward also. So there is a lot going on here. What we see is the Huns chasing albino peoples out of Central Asia. They're driven from the east. But there was a wave prior to that. without no date. The second wave, prior to that, a span of 800 years. So now we have the Huns. So this is a third time the Huns chased the albinos into Europe. The indigenous blacks of those areas, I have to repeat this, the indigenous blacks of those areas were forced westward also. After the Huns left, the albinos rampaged throughout Europe and even North Africa, culminating in the destruction of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. So now we can see that we have these stories happening in between the span of 200 BC to 600 AD, which would be the second wave, the wave before that. So we can say that the first wave came in, settled. Second wave comes in, and they settle. In between 200 BC to 600 AD, we have another situation where the Huns run the albino people out of Central Asia. Then we have the period of the destruction of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, who I mind you, were not albinos.
Okay, hold on here. Now you didn't list out a whole gamut of information, right?
Right.
Now you talked about the area. Now you and I know, and some of the audience listening audience may not know, but there has been a big thing about, let's say, maps and how maps are been distorted because somebody wanted to be on top, put somebody else on the bottom. But we're not going to even go deep into that side of it. But we'll go into the side of you saying these are albinos, but you haven't given them a name. You haven't given them a tribe other than albinos. Before you answer that, if you choose to answer that, look at it this way. You just got to talking about the the Hans and the Khans. Who's the Hans and who's the Khans again?
Well, we know the Huns as being those horseback warriors, and we know the
Okay.
Khans as being very, very vicious warriors. But on top of that, powerful families
Okay. Now let's
coming
just
from
stop you
one
right there.
source.
So, because we want to get this really clear. Now, these cons, and if any of you guys had a chance to look at Marco Polo on Netflix, shout out to that show, you'll see that the horses were real short horses. Now, somebody who's say 5'11", 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 foot five, what the hell would they need with a sawed off horse? So obviously these cons were also short people as well, because that's the horse of their breeding that they chose, and then it was more effective in battles because the horse was able to go longer distances because its stature wasn't as big. But they were also quick, light attack, the same way the chariots, different chariots are used through some of those historian Jabba stuff that they give out. But any which way the case can be, you got the Hans and you have the Khans. And I'm subscribing that they both were short people in stature. I wanted to make that kind of clear. Now we also you talked about these dates. And just like how I feel about the maps not being accurate, the dates not being accurate. Maybe we'll choose another show to get in that, or maybe we will just keep these dates intact so that people can catch up to where they can look at these dates may not be as accurate. And there's a reason why. You can take it all the way back to your childhood. When you were in school, the first thing they taught you was the number zero on a number line. And they said if you go to the right, you add. If you go to the left, you subtract. Now, but they also tell you that everything starts at zero. When you go 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So why in the hell does their timeline start -0? Because they're letting you know when they took over influencing the world from that 0 point. Anything at that point, they were fighting to get control of the way people thought in the world by infringement on their ability. Now you're telling me If I use that number, or if I use that chart of calendar chart, and if I use that BCE and AD reference, you're telling me, as in these waves that went on, you're also telling me that um, these albinos were the people who were ran there. Now, eventually, somebody's going to ask you about these Caucasus Mountains, and I want to make sure that you understand that's going to be the big hub for most people because they've been taught that that Caucasian people come from the Caucasus Mountains. But what you just saying here, and as we're trying to link that the albinos are these Europeans that were driven up there, and you're saying it were driven by the Khans, correct? Am I
Cons and the
grasping that correctly?
Huns. That's right.
The Khans and the Huns. Now, who are these Huns? Are these Huns the Arabic people of today?
Oh no, to my understanding, and by looking at a lot of the artwork and pictures, those were brothers and brown skinned brothers. So dark skin and brown skinned brothers.
Okay. All right now. So we're at the point now where you're explaining how the albinos are ran into Europa, and now they're in control of Europa, and you're giving these timelines. So I'm gonna let you go on with that because I got more questions on these origins. Because remember, here on the Real Get Down, we tried to deal our best ability due to information that's available to us on dealing with origins. Origins is the key point of actually handling some of the problems that we're maybe facing today. Because remember now, here's the thing: why would anybody give a damn about once what happened? One of the things about understanding what once happened allows you never to make the same mistake again. Those who read the Bible and want to apply the Bible or any literature that they adhere to for belief prowess, it is best for them to live it as much as they can, as much just talking about it. So if you hear that I shall not kill, then they shouldn't be talking about killing. So we're going to get into how this thing of these origins or how this manifestation led up into the amalgamation that led up into the problem. Because me being more of an indigenous person of the Western Hemisphere, even though I don't like using the term the Western Hemisphere, but on this side of the ocean, I feel this crap wasn't going on or this battle fest. I'm saying it was brought over here. Okay. So we're going to get some of that clarity because as we further get down on the real get down, we're going to be dealing with what is indigenous, what is native, and what is an invader. Okay. Well, now we're talking about the ramifications of what took place of these people coming in, being shoved in one area. My question is to you: who was in that area prior to these albinos going up in that area?
Ah, yes, family, and that's where we continue. But a note, looking forward to when we get down to these dates because the Gregorian calendar has a starting point, and the month it starts is in October. So we have a
Anyway,
lot of work.
I mean, see, this is why I don't like common sense. Common sense will tell you the moment somebody gives you something started and people already been around, there's something wrong with that pudding.
Hmm. So we will be getting to that. But here goes the shocker for the question. The Black Franks, probably Celts from Germany. I have to say this again. The Black Franks, probably Celts from Germany, and now ruling in France, rose up and drove the albinos back as far east as they could. They later became the Holy Roman Empire and controlled Central and Western Europe circa 800 AD.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how in the world are you going to look at? I mean, look at the statues today that's presented about the Roman Empire and most of Western and Eastern Europe. And it sounds like these are some, from the history that has been painted, these are some more warmongering people who can't get along for nothing with no constantly fighting and killing. The economists say it was built on resources, but you're painting a different picture. You're not painting it based on resources. You're basing it upon something else. And I'd like to get into what that really is that created this strife of what these albinos were dealing with. And also I want to get into maybe we might wait till the end of the show to get into the makeup of how the albino had came about on the planet, because it doesn't sound like to me they were always here.
Oh, yes. Even here, they can't tell you the date of the first wave, which I admire them for not doing it. The date of the
It- it-
second wave,
okay, now
it's
I want to plug this in because I would like to be corrected at any given time, and anybody who hears this and they want to give comments, we on our next show will reveal the comments that anyone makes, positive or negative, or we just look at a comment as a comment based upon your perspective. But I don't recall any of my people ever telling me that there were any albinos in this side of the continent. So that's something that took place over there, and supposed to be the cradle of civilization. So I hope we get into a little bit of aspect of that. I'm just trying to give the people an idea what this is leading into, the really the mysteries of origins of people and groups and activities and events that took place once upon a time, trying to find some clarity to it and how it relates to us today and the problems that we have. Go ahead, my brother.
meanwhile, the black rulers of the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine, were in constant war with the Black Persian Empire for control of the East. What is going on here, family? The black rulers from the Eastern Roman Empire fighting the Black Persian Empire to control for control of the East. So it's the same place that the albinos were ran to and ran out of. Now, if you can see the screen, we have artwork depicting the period of 193 to 260 AD. And supposedly, it is Valerian Publius Licinius Valerianus Augustus 193 to 260, also known as Valerian or Valerian the Elder, was Roman emperor from 253 to 260 AD. He was taken captive by Persian king Shapur I after the Battle of Edessa, becoming the only Roman emperor who was captured as a prisoner of war, resulting in wide-ranging instability across the empire. So they say. We have more artwork showing that Persians are black. Well, obviously it's supposed to have black features on the statues above, and now we have art of Sasanian Shapur II hunting what looks like a warthog or some type of pig. And then here comes the problem. The first great blow to black rule was when the Arabs, in their great stupidity, destroyed the Persian Empire in 627 AD. Wait a minute. So in between 476 and 800 AD, we have this situation happening. But here's the problem. Though the Romans and Persians were consistently at war with one another, they both kept the albino Turks at bay. Again, Romans and Persians are being considered here blacks. They both kept the albino Turks at bay, who were being chased westward by the Mongols. So they're not giving you the connection of Huns and Khans, but there it is, as we went over before.
Oh, hey, okay, hold up, bro. Well, what the hell's going on here? You got these group of people being moved from back and forth, right? Is that what I'm hearing this correctly?
You got it.
So they're caught in the middle of getting their butt kicked on the western front, they're getting the finance butts getting kicked on the Eastern Front. Does any of this sound? Is any of this from like the Punic Wars at all? Any of this stuff?
This stuff is taking place almost 800 years after the Punic Wars. You know what's interesting that you mentioned the Punic Wars? That the last Punic War happens during the time of the albino second wave.
Okay. So why are these albinos so hated or disliked, or no one wants them around? What's wrong with them?
I don't know. This is what we need to get down to. This is the origins of what's going on and who are our albino brothers and sisters.
So once again,
Mm-hmm.
we know for a fact that albinos have a problem with being in the sun. Is that
There's one.
correct analogy? They
That is
have
correct.
they have to wear clothing on their skin to keep from being radiated and burnt up and cancerized by our sun. Their eyes
That's
can't
right.
stand bright sunlight. And if you notice, you only see glimpses of them on certain movies or whatever. You saw them on The Matrix. You saw them on Laura. What is that? Laura Craft,
Lord
one of
Cross.
her
Yeah,
movies.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. And the thing of it is that you see that these features that these albinos seem to have is awful. Look, I hate to use the term Africanoid because that's not a correct analogy, but they have an indigenous look to them, so to speak. These albinoids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when you see them coming, I mean, we know for a fact that an albino comes from both so-called black and white people, but we also know that a white person can't produce a black person. So this is the hints that is left in front of our face day by day that people are not taking on a hint to. You have people who are, there's really no such thing as a white person. You might have somebody who's pale. You might have somebody who's almost look like milky white, but not exactly white. You have different variations of white tones and peaches and orange and creams and so forth. And then you also have, so allegedly, black people with different hues and tones and things. But then we start getting down to features, everything changes. And that's why I have a dispute with this DNA, what I think is fraudulent. Because when you look at a person's face and feature and body, you can just about tell what group of people you come from. I mean, spend a whole bunch of money for the test your haplogroup, your A1, B1, T1, Z1, X1, I think is feeding into somebody else's pocket and taking away from you could. Matter of fact, you could donate that to the IMU Nation on on GoFundMe as we try to get together live to figure out some of these mysteries that's being presented to us as we're starting to find out this fallacy. So I want to ask you what you're saying that you're not sure why these people are being hunted down, but we know for a fact in the continent, so-called continent of Africa, they're looked at as a bad omen. Even still to this day, these people are being hunted down and prosecuted, and some are being used as parts for medicine.
That's right. Even body parts are being chopped off and given to hierarchy elite people.
Facts.
Well,
Facts. Facts.
see, that's what I'm saying. That's evidence, right? Because we deal with origins and evidence here, and this is happening. But how much of this have you heard about on mainstream media that these people are still being attacked and persecuted in the same manner you're illustrating way back when? What is it that these people have? I'm like saying, is these people, is this about a missing link, or is this about we use the term alien a lot. I mean, were they looked at as these demons and aliens that these religious people are talking about? Could
Family,
it
I
be?
might say yes. I mean, well, I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. I am you,
No,
but
no, bro. I want you. Hey, hey, y'all. Just cut in, please. Just cut in. Cut
okay.
in, because I know
Now,
how to stop and go. So go ahead, do your thing.
now let's say I have a cousin and they live in Central Asia, and my cousin uh, gets married to someone, has children with him, right? And I come to visit my cousin, and one of my cousin's children is albino and has red eyes and red hair. That would freak somebody out if they've never seen that before. I mean, you'll get shocked. It would be automatic culture shock. What's go? Okay, that's my relative. Okay, what's going on here? And the first thing a person will say is going to look at the parents. What happened? And often it would only be one or two. It could be five children, and it still happens today. And they were still discriminated against, as we've heard the term ginger,
Would it
the
be
Irish
safe to
people.
say that the first blue-eyed, blonde-haired people were albinos? Is that safe to say that?
Absolutely, and still are today. They hold that lock of that albino gene.
So, so would it be safe to say that some of these red-haired mummies and stuff they found in parts of Eastern Europe or Europa are actually these remnants of these albino people? Because we know that when your skin, when you pass on and you transform to wherever it is your next assignment, I like to say, when your skin, no matter what, get brown, don't it, or black
That's
when
right.
it's mummified, right? Because of the stuff they use to mummify it with, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That happens.
So then, could there be these red-haired people found in places of Europa? Actually, these people we're talking about albinos.
Could be. Even the so-called Nordic beings and a lot of sci-fi information, they also fall into this. Because they'll tell you that those Nordic being people are tall, eyebrows so blonde, everything so blonde and straight. I've seen pictures of albino brothers who look just like that, and they're tall.
Okay, all right.
Picture tall albinos coming against 5'2", 5'4" Huns and Khans.
Now, I don't have my camera right now, but I'm actually gonna put on my camera for a moment here, so I can show you something that I wanted to show you how this wrapped into what you're saying here. Uh, and this should really do some crazy stuff here. So let's see how this one works out for everybody. I get my camera in front of here if I can. Right now, I got it in the teeth. I got it in the teeth of my skeleton over here. So let me see if I can get that to come up. You guys can take a look at it. Let's see here. See if it'll come up right quick.
Okay, family.
Oh, just
Um,
give me a quick
well, I want
second
to hold
here,
out and wait till you show
because I
the.
want people to see this right quick as soon as this camera comes on here.
I believe you'd have to click off of my screen and click. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
there,
doing it right now.
there we go.
Tell me what you think of that. Get
That's
some
an
little
al.
focus.
That's an
Get a little
albino.
focus on here. That's a
Yeah,
who?
that's an albino Asian, ain't it?
Well, I'm going to ask you: is that a Han or a Khan or remnants of the
Could
amalgamation of Khans and Hans?
it could be the remnants of the amalgamation. Now you know that they were ran back east as well.
Right. I mean, it would be in ping pong, right?
That's right. So some of them might have slid back through the cracks and ended up in like South Korea or something.
Okay.
You didn't hear that from me.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because of but if the reason why I'm posting this up, and I wanted people to get a good look at that, because the people today, the Sans people, even still to this day, have slanted eyes. Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
So what does that say?
That the San people and many other like them could have been ran into the area that they live today, starting from the period that we have presented today. Well, that's the time period they give. We'll be going over
Well,
that as well.
see, I hope I'm not getting the cart ahead of the horse here, because this slantedness and these odd thing is really depictable an Asian culture, but you see it in the Sans people, and there's something going on with that. So I'm gonna go ahead with what you're
Yeah.
doing, and then we'll get into that in a moment. Go ahead, bro.
Not only that, family, the Mangbetu people eyes are more slanted than the Khoisan people. In
Oh,
fact,
okay.
in fact, the Mangbetu women's eyes will have that type of fold that the albino Asian have. They have that thick fold. Oh man. Well, let's continue, family. The Arab victory over Persia gave the Turks, who were allies of the Arabs, free reign over Eastern Europe and Anatolia. In 1543, this is the Renaissance period, the Turks succeeded in destroying the Eastern Roman Empire. Where Persia controlled by albinos and the territories of the Roman Empire controlled by albinos, it was just a matter of time before the weight of all of those albinos was just too great. Black rule in Britain fell, and then black rule in Europe fell. There was just too many albinos to successfully fight. It wasn't the blacks in Europe got soft. Central Asia was completely emptied of albinos. That's millions upon millions of people. A few small tribes were allowed to stay in Asia, as we just went over of the picture of the young albino Asian. Now, I'll apologize before I say this. Those damn slanty-eyed devils changed the albinos from being their problem to being our blacks' problem. What? What is going on here? So the small tribes that stayed in Asia is being presented here. I believe you'd have to click on my screen. Wow. It's being presented here that the ones who stayed in Asia became our problem. Now, family, that was very interesting. Can you show that image again? Brother, I am you.
You talking about the Asian image?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, you were showing some other images.
Yeah, I'm about to show some images while you're talking
Yeah.
to match what you're saying. You
Okay.
know.
So that
So
actually ends the article from africasource.com, www.africasource.com, Rasta Livewire. This is information that most don't know about. You can find sprinkles of this information in some libraries around America, but not many. Uh, Most don't want you to know about this information because they don't want you to know that all the things that were happening in Europe, even up to the early Renaissance, that those were brothers. It just happens that early Renaissance period ends and the printing press comes into play. And, well, as we can see, 1453, the Turks succeeded in destroying the Eastern Roman Empire. So who are these Turks?
I would have to say they're the Hans.
There you go. We have the Turks families going back to sharing the same genetic connection, same family connection by studying Khaganate and Ekananate. You will get the Ate connection. Well, actually, in fact, you will find that these were a group of families that they will claim to cling to an Ashkenazi source. Khazarian source. We have the dilemma of a possibility that someone's trying to usurp albinos information. Somebody's trying to take credit for what albinos did. You have Eric the Red, you have the Bubos Kings, you have King Alba, and you go down the list, and some of them even look like the brother that IMU is shown.
Hey, so what did these guys get declared as? The one I'm showing right now. Let me put that up on the screen so people can see that, so they can see what I'm talking about with this. See how it looks here.
He'd have been considered, so far the brother I'm seeing would have been considered an albino, even though he has spots of black, but he's
No,
still an albino.
I want you to give the variance though. I want you to give the variance of what.
Well, I see the blonde,
Let me get it in here right. The right way. There
the
we go.
blonde eyebrows. I can't
Okay,
see the
but what
color of
would
the
he be
eyes.
declared as?
But look at the facial features. Black African.
No, man. I want to
Well,
go
he has
deeper than that,
that
bro.
pug nose, so he would be
No,
more
I want to
Papua
go
New
deeper.
Guinea.
No, but I want to go deeper than that. What would would have been declared as? As much as you hear
Oh,
all this other stuff,
in today's terms,
yeah.
he'd have
I
been considered
mean,
a Caucasian.
no, that's not the one I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get at the way they would look at him back then.
Oh, back then,
They would call him a leopard.
right?
See, now you know it in the biblical
Bubos.
context where they were trying to say that these people were leopards. Don't mess with them. There's a story behind that. The story
Yeah, the
that Black
Bubos
Lotus,
kings.
that Lotus is talking about, he's like saying, "Hey, look, check this out, guys. This is who they're talking about. These people were hated.
That's right.
See this hatred thing? See where it comes from? It comes from being looking so much different that people were just scared. Remember, you know, back in the time where everything was about fear this, fear that. Look how these people look who could not be in the sun. And then look what happens when they do get in the sun. This is what happens.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they will break out with skin cancer before the European that we see today, which is basically a genetic amalgamation, successful experiment that probably should have never happened.
Oh, was you saying something you shouldn't have said there? Were we talking about
Oh,
experiments again?
that's right.
No one wants to talk about that, huh?
Of
Oh,
course not.
unless you're talking about it from the standpoint of a Jew complaining about what took place in Germany to that type of experimentation. I
Oh
wonder
no,
what
this
he
good.
was looking for. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, getting more interesting. We're going further down the rabbit hole here on the Real Get Down. I'm your host, IMU. I'm here with Sister Anna Cat and Lotus of Black Lotus Civilization, Brother Emu. For the people from the continent, this is who you've been talking to. And he's now going to start putting together a whole kill the crap, because there's a lot of crap in the so-called conscious community. It is not conscious, people. There's nothing conscious about it. Some platforms are going around saying they're about information. They're about not giving you the information so you can have an idea of what something is said and what it's going about. I'm going to be showing a picture while this brother's talking about certain people who are these albinos. And we're going to put a lot of this myth and mysticism to bed. We're not going to allow it to happen any longer. Okay? So go ahead, my brother. Continue on. I'm
Yeah,
going to try
that's
to
right.
get this thing set
I
up.
want to give just a little side effect of these experiments and successful mistakes. Okay, so we have times and periods of people who carried the gene to produce albinos. So when it comes to albinos being ran out, we're really going to have to dig into what happened. So I can give my conjecture at this moment about the albino situation. Far before Genghis Khan we have his family members. Far before Attila the Hun, we have their family members. It just happens to be that when you get down to the bottom of it and you try and find out where did Alexander the Great come from and all these people come from, it just happens that when you dig into the Greek stuff, they say something happens around the 3rd century where some people come in to Greece speaking hubba hubba hubba, going hubba hubba hubba. And this is documented supposedly by the Greeks. So when we start tying these stories in getting down to a person being able to produce albinos,
You gonna go get a little one? Okay.
then that person having babies with albinos. We have these men in our past time who had tons of children. They can't even tell you how many children Attila the Hun had. The numbers of Genghis Khan reach up to 2,000. There are tons of African rulers who have over 100 children, just out of a span of 1,000 years. We have stories, though, of people like Muley Ismail Pasha, who has the rosy albino look on a lot of his pictures. You have him having about 1,000 children. And this happened in, I believe, the 17th century. I'm sorry, the 18th century. And he has all these children, and we get the story of his 50 sons warring for the Mediterranean Sea in North Africa. Where did the bloodline come from? We get these albinos, but then we hear Arab and Turk. Who are the Arab and Turk? And then they say the Turk are albinos. They call him Turk albinos. Kept the albino Turks at bay. What's going on here? Did an experiment go awry? Is this a natural cause of our people being able to produce an albino? Is it true what Adolf Hitler said, that the true master race lies in the albino? Are these things that we are missing? Is this the cause of the subjugation of black inferiority? Is this why we created stories, forcing it down people's throats? Is somebody saying that evolution existed and he was a black Arab who wrote it, but then in here we have that the Arabs were with the Turks, the albinos, and then the Persians being black? How are they going to have time to write all these philosophical things when they're at war? Things aren't adding up. They are just not adding up. Brother IMU?
Well, you know what? Yeah, well, it goes to show you that we've been sold a bit of goods. But I wanted to ask you a little bit more about these Turks that you're referring to, these Hans. I'm trying to get down to this point where, who are these Arabs?
There you go.
Because when you dig into this doctrine even further and referring to just the albinos, how come that's not implemented in any of the stuff that comes out of the printing press in the Renaissance period? Where's that information at? Where's it at? Somebody got it written down somewhere. It happened.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You know?
Yeah. It's on hush, hush, sealed.
Why isn't this a big thing among the scholarly that they're not talking and implementing these group of people still being persecuted today for the color of their skin, and we're all wrapped in a skin war? Sounds like something's been going on for a long time about that, yes?
Absolutely. Someone's keeping us distracted from the bigger picture.
Okay, so at least if we didn't get anything else accumulated in your mindset this evening, we're at least trying to illustrate to you how this is how people's minds have been developing and discarding the evidence, because we would like to present to you evidence on a much larger scale. I
That's
told you
right.
I had a picture that I wanted to show you. I'm going to put that up right now. Let me go ahead and if we got more, let's continue more because
Absolutely.
let me get this young man's beautiful features in here. You know, let me definitely get his features in here because I'm about to, and I can see why. Even looking at today, if you look at this young man here, you can see
Hmm.
that how he would be accepted today. Is this where the term
Right.
Messiah comes from, or is this the term where demons come from? I'm just trying to figure this out. Look at this young man here. You know, he doesn't have he doesn't have any Caucasian features that I see of. You guys see any Caucasian features? I don't see any.
Nope.
You know,
Okay.
you know what I wonder about that. Let's just say you're in a tribe of people, and the mother has a child that
Uh
has
oh.
dark skin and those blue eyes. What do you think the tribesmen who's never seen that before? What do you think the tribe people would think or do to that infant and the mother? What do you think would happen?
Could be exile. Could be death or acceptance.
Okay. Okay. Now you have a lot of more information than I do on the activities that take place in the continent to today. These people are still being born, I would think, because look at him and his collar. This is not an old picture of somebody, is it? No.
No, but I'm trying
It's,
to go back in time and say
okay.
this is the first ever in that tribe. They've never seen this before. We are talking
Okay.
about a group of people who worship and talk to trees and plants, very superstitious. What would
Absolutely.
the reaction be toward the mother and the child of something they've never seen? Same thing as far as the albino. They've never seen this before, and the mother produces something quite strange to the tribe. What
Ooh.
the reaction would be will tell you possibly how they went from the southern part of of the continent and were pushed all the way up into uh, Eurasia or Asia. Because I'm trying to figure out how did the albinos from the beginning of your conversation, because I looked it up and it says it's in like Russia, China, in that area.
That's right.
So how did they get from possibly a southern part to be pushed all the way up into a more colder climate? They can't be in the sun.
Okay. You're on to something now. Keep rolling with that, sister. Hit them up. Now something start to make good sense. What is that good sense? We noted in the beginning that they cannot deal with the sun. Okay? We know that they were harmed by the sun. So the only natural being was for them to do what?
I think they were exiled out.
But now,
Well,
remember
I
now,
got some very. Hold on. Sorry to cut y'all. I
before you
got
get
some
in
very
there, Brother
interesting
Lotus, before
information
you
for
get
y'all.
into that, because this is where me and Lotus, this is where we be getting, this is where we clobber heads. Okay? This is clobbering time. If you were a mother who had one of these children and knew what was going to be the response of the people, because remember now, most back then, women did not have babies on their own. They had midwives. They had women doing this with them. So the talk would be rapidly quick. Okay? It would spread very fast. Oh, now if these people were declared as demon, or let's say they're not even declared as demon, let's just say they knew the care for them would be harmful for them. And now you're saying if it was for the very first time, they didn't know nothing. But if they knew that's a superstitious why, this would not be healthy for their child. A mother's love is a mother's love, right?
That
My
is
sister,
correct. That is correct.
she's not going to give her child up because of some fool who's saying that this is a bad omen. Now, maybe they were pretty much humbled or humanized enough to say, well, we can't have to stay here, this and that. But do you think that that mother's going to take a chance, knowing how superstitious people once were? So she's either they, like you said, they either exiled or they running scared.
Yes,
So
I believe either of the two. I don't think that it would have been safe for them to stay in that environment. I'm sure an elder woman probably would say this would not be a safe environment for something this strange. White hair, white skin. It would you see what happens, Black Lotus, he touched on it. They still do it today.
yeah, what do you guys? Here's one right for you right now. Here is a mother with her child.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be,
Now,
wouldn't
Acceptance.
that be strange to tribes people who have never
now,
seen this before?
look how
Right,
dark
right.
she is, and then look at the child she's holding. Now that child don't know nothing about all that hatred, nothing. But let's say now you went for the first time, it would be a shocker, and they would have to sit down and discuss what to do. So now this child grows up. Let's say it's all humane. The child grows up in an environment, and all of a sudden the child starts getting sick. You can't stay in the sun. Blah blah blah. Well, next thing you know, then another baby comes, then another baby comes, another baby comes. Then what you have is you have now a society, or could be a society, or a group of people who are albino. Maybe this only takes place in this region for a reason. Let's not even get into the reasons how it came about. Let's just say it started happening on a more frequent basis. They were like, hey, we have to make sure these people are safe. They can't stay in where the sun is. Now, if the planet starts getting hot in the region, then naturally the smart thing for them to do is go in a place where they can survive and do better. Because you can see from this picture here that I'm about to punch. Now, look, you can see some of the things that can happen when you get too much sun, right? Okay. So just along from that standpoint, this is not a healthy thing or for somebody to go through. So let's just say they asked them to go, or they took them off to another thing. But remember now, they still hold the genes inside of them that is what? Still of a darker hue. So even if they have children among themselves, eventually you have what come out of it? You start having different variations. So I'm going to leave it at that, um, because I believe my brother Lotus has more to bring into this.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm about to throw a curveball in it. I'm not gonna say it's true, but just what if the planet didn't have the tilt it had? That means it just went right along the center of the equator. The planet would the areas would stay lit the same way all the time. That means the sun would shine and hit Europe heavy. It's gonna shine and hit uh Antarctica. Well, the tips of Antarctica, the tip of South America and Australia. So, what if this albino
Mm.
situation came and somehow they caused the planet to shift to help their inhabitability? Just throwing something out there. Not
Now
saying
you
it's
know
true.
there's stories that are said all through that this these some of these were at the highest esteem of being white. I don't know if that's accurate or not because we really don't have a time machine to go back on to find out how accurate some of these things is. But what would it? We're looking at it from the perspective that they would be discarded and hunted. But what if they were praised as something great? Like the indigenous people in this hemisphere look at it as a white buffalo as something great about to happen. You understand what I'm saying? So, because remember now,
Absolutely.
the white and black thing didn't mean what it means today. So we got to erase our memories, or at least put a spot in our memory. This is now, and what about what was then? So from that perspective alone, can we say that they were treated as high regard? And if they were indoors a lot, then they could, what if they became the rulers? And maybe this thing that you're talking about, this fighting back and forth, was really because they were being overthrown as rulers. Now look at this brother's face right here. Okay, get that one going up right quick. Oh, what happened here? I guess we were asking too much of it. Let's see what happens here. Anyway, well, go ahead, brother. I'm going to put this guy's face up and I'm going to show his features. Okay?
That's right. Do I have an echo?
No, you good? Okay.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I was actually looking for something to go further in on it. It's very rare for me to throw out something like that to say albinos are part of the planet tilt shift, but I'm just showing people that we really have to open our minds
There he
and
is.
really go over these thoughts, as you really look at everybody, you know, let's really look
Okay.
at it.
No.
Exactly like the picture right there.
Yeah, look at this guy. Say, look at these strong Africanoid, supposedly the term Africanoid, features. Look at his dreads.
Exactly.
Now, take a look at this woman. Wow. Look at that. This little girl.
Mm.
Now watch the changes in the hues right quick.
How come you don't use a screen share?
Because, okay, well, how come I don't use screen share? I guess I could do that, huh?
Yeah, if you do screen share, it'll be, right up on it. Here, I'm gonna show you.
That's is that part of the camera thing? Because I'm gonna go through this and
It's an area where it says screen share and the
Yeah,
left
on the
side.
board, on the
the
Yeah,
controller side.
that's right.
Yeah, where it
green,
says camera at
the green arrow
the green arrow. Okay,
on the left side.
okay.
If you move your mouse over, it'll come up. Different icons.
All right, I
Check.
got you.
Okay.
That's right. The green icon with the arrow. There you go. There you go. Thank
Yeah,
you.
y'all, I want y'all watching, looking at all my tabs, man. I got some serious
I
tabs
know,
going on.
family. I was just
I
thinking.
got some serious tabs going on here, man.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh man, I think you could block it out somehow. Oh
yeah,
man, yeah, you might want to block your tabs out.
yeah. Because I be having some, I don't get nobody get no ideas, man. You know. Well, anyway, we'll go through that right quick because I can always,
Right. I can
you know.
screen share what I got. I don't have what you have on yours. But let me see if I could screen share what I got on mine. It's a ton of them. In fact, there was a brother that's a part of that conscious community thing, and he put out some information talking about gypsy albinos. And I was so shocked that he talked about it, but then it irked me that he didn't go into any origins of it in any form or fashion. And that's what I was gonna try to pull out the so-called gypsy albino because
Yeah,
this
because
will kind of give you an answer about the Arab and Turk thing.
what it gives you the answer about the Khazars.
That's right.
That leads you into the Khazars. As you can see right here, how albinoism is look as I just roll up the screen right here. You know, you can see that this is. Look at this young man here with the blonde hair and the gray eyes. This
Yeah.
right
Yep.
here, you see, and you can see that they have very serious skin disease with too much exposure. You
Yes, they
know,
do. Now,
but
to even I guess this would be a not a well, yeah, it's an insult to injury to a lot of people that even when you click on my screen, I got Islander albinos.
Well, yeah, exactly. So where'd that come from?
Right,
You know?
right. So it's so much into this that we have not been told. And that's when we have elders saying things like they know something about us that we don't know. And they say these things instead of just saying it, just give it to us. Well, I have to go through years of research to get down to the bottom of these things and find out that a lot my source to a lot of this information, I had to go through European languages just to get to some sources of these informations. I'm sorry, the source of this type of information.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. The nuts and bolts. Well, why do you feel that it's not explained in English? How come it's not translated in English? And everyone knows who knows anything about me about um, in these hangouts. I've always said this is a miscommunication of a bad translation, and the reason why I'm starting to, I may have to change to a terrible translation because now you find out some things are just not translated at all. I mean, you look at
that's right.
this one right here with this young kid. Look at this young kid right here. Look at him. Look at him.
Hmm.
Look at that. Look at this one here. This whole family right here. Just about
Right. Spooky, ain't it?
whole family. Look, this young
Spooky.
lady here is cross-eyed.
Right.
Let me get it down here. So
A lot of
there's see
albinos.
so now we're talking about genetic as we acclaim this genetic defect. So I have an even more serious question. This is for your guys on here right now looking at this. Let me ask you this much. Let me ask you this much. How come we don't see these albino people everywhere you go? You remember any albinos you was in school with?
I've only seen one albino. I grew up with an albino. It's a rare for us to see albinos out here. Why?
So where the hell all the albinos is that? Because I know they're being born every day.
That's
I,
one of those unanswerable questions that just might get an answer today.
I see that, but I'm not sure whether they come from Africa and they came here or if they are born here. This question is when they reproduce, are they reproducing themselves or a deeper genetic mixture
Okay, I'm going to
complex?
give you an answer to your question right now with this picture.
There
It
you
can go
go.
either way. It can go either way. Look at her baby. Look at her.
Well, she has slight albinism, but I don't think she
No, her stuff ain't no slight. She full blown. Don't let that black makeup fool you on her eyes. She's a full blown albino. You know, but look at her baby. Her baby come out with tan brown skin. Does not have that problem of not being able to be in the sun. See? See, this is what this. See, that's what I'm saying. I ain't gonna get in that picture of no Michael Jackson, man. That's just terrible. They just
Yeah,
killed
yeah.
themselves to do
The
that stuff.
Michael Jacksons or that
Yeah.
one homosexual on CNN, they said that he is an albino. The reporter
Oh yeah.
got his own show, blonde hair, blue eyed, German looking.
Uh,
I forgot his name.
uh,
We're talking about Anderson Cooper.
There you go, Anderson Cooper.
yeah.
They
No.
tried to
This
give
is.
us Anderson Cooper, huh? So young Pharaoh tried to
Nah. This
give
dude
away
here
polite.
is a. This dude here is an albino Caucasian, so to speak, or either is there any such thing as a Caucasian or whatever? We've been misled down that road as well.
That's right. That's right. Calling them
You know,
Caucasians.
they want to call them
I play
Caucasian
around
and
and
say
still
from the
say
Caucasus
that.
Mountains, but you've already presented that they ain't from no goddamn Caucasus Mountains.
They ain't from no Caucasus Mountains.
But they might have ran up in them Caucasus Mountains to get the hell away from them ass whipping they were taking on both sides. Maybe they were funneled up that way. But maybe, like Sister Anna Cat says, maybe They were led up that way for to preserve themselves. And then you want to throw in this real big monkey wrench and talk about the 3 degrees tilt of the planet as if it was induced by people for their sake. Or did they do it for their own sake and that's why their ass was being ran around everywhere because they created a disturbance on the planet and they blamed them and they was after them. Whether that sounds a lot more logical than anything else. I mean, if you have the Nile Valley fruitful and everything else, and now all of a sudden you change the degree of the planet and it backfired, you get ran up out of your house if you did something like that in your own, wouldn't you?
Man, you about to make me talk like the architect on the Matrix right now.
Well, I think you better have to. You know, you're talking the great systemic anomaly.
That's right. There you go. Systemic anomaly.
Yeah, systemic anomaly. That's what we're actually talking about. We're talking. Are we talking about? Are we talking about tampering with the gene pool?
It has to be. Look at Dark Crystal. Remember, they
Yeah, but
cracked.
Dark Crystal, man, you know, Dark Crystal's a thing that has to be watched and explained to at the same time. Maybe we'll do a show on that. Maybe
Yeah, we
we'll
have
do
to.
the soundbite where we can do Dark Crystal and try to explain Dark Crystal.
That's right. And Doom.
Yeah, they you have to get your pencil and piece of paper and notes out for Doom though.
That's right. Because
That's
these
nothing to
stories
play
tie
with.
into what we're actually talking about in forms and fashions.
So now here's the age-old question: If we just showed a young lady who had an albino, and we also showed a young lady who was albino have a brown-skinned child, are we going to ask the age-old question: Who's on first and what's on second?
I know somebody pitching the ball, but that's a
So
good
the
question.
Ice Age, you're noting that the Ice Age would help the albino population of people. But if it did that, didn't it also help destroy the Nile Valley?
Absolutely. Mass
Where could
amounts of
anybody get
water.
that kind of power, bro? Where could you get the power to change the tilt of the planet?
The Great
Where?
Conjunction.
Can I ask a question
Oh yeah, please go ahead
about
anytime.
the Ice Age component of it? Is it possible that the let's just take it from what we've been taught? There was a mass exodus, right? They got caught in the Ice Age, and if we're talking about evolution and survival of the fittest, maybe only the albinos survived that climate, and the darker African could not survive that climate. And that is where you now become Caucasoid, Caucasianoid or whatever, because it was only the albino that could survive that 10,000, 20,000, how many thousands of year ice age. Is that a possibility?
Well, it's a conflict with the story earlier, um, because some of the stories say that there's always been blacks in Europe. Some stories will say that it was black until the early Renaissance when the Knights Templars came in, which is another thing that ties into what we've been talking about.
Could that have been after the ice age?
A long period. It becomes, well, Central Asia, Russia, and all those areas. You have Siberia. Um, you know, the progenitors of the albino producers are still there. I can say that, and you have albinos still being born. This has to be happening on a vast scale. So I wouldn't say that they became. I don't even think you said that they became albino due to the ice age.
I said they survived. They were the only
Oh,
ones
survived it. Oh,
that survived that climate because it was more suitable for their, you know, their complexion and albinoism. And the
oh,
darker
let's look it
African
up.
could not survive that. So hence you have more of the albinos reproducing and surviving. It's just like evolution, survival of the fittest. And it was only them that were able to reproduce and survive in that climate because it was more suitable for their skin disease, their albinism.
Right, I
Is that
understand what you're saying. Like it would make sense that the ones during the ice age, while it's happening, to say, well, let's not mix with our, family members, brothers, cousins, sisters, and distant cousins who are part of our tribe who are still dark. Let's only mix with the ones who carry the same albino gene because we will have a greater genetic chance of survival. I understand that. That makes sense. You know, it also makes sense for a lot of albinos born in uh, Cameroon and Nigeria, and them not being able to really survive in that area, wanting to go up to an area where it is colder.
Well,
And
that
I
makes
was
sense.
hinting at maybe that they caused that to happen with our planet for them to have a genetic survival some type of way.
Well, I don't conceivably think that's going to work or would have worked. I think theoretically it would have made sense if you didn't know no better.
Right.
But after a couple of after a couple of births, you would find out that that wouldn't be conclusive, and that would it be the example how you have what is described as a Caucasian Noid today. Think about it. You're trying to put albino with albino. You're stacking genes, right? But somehow, some way, that brown gene keeps coming through. So then after a while, you'll start doing what? You'll start putting
Catching that brown gene.
that brown gene, and then you'll start lighting out that brown gene, and then what would end up? How would that end up?
You have
That end up
amalgamated European
yeah,
today.
you'd have the European today. So, Sister Anna Cat, have you now announced how the Caucasianoid was made? Have you
what?
just told the public? Did you just tell the public how the Caucasianoid was made?
Well, I'm trying to put it all together. I'm trying to put the pieces.
So you're saying that though they were ran up in the Caucasoid Mountain during the Great Ice Age and the Great Flood, it's being said in every group of people on the face of the earth, they're saying an ice age took place and these people got trapped up in there trying to survive. And the only place you could survive in an ice age would be a cave. And then you said, okay, this environment suits us, so we're gonna keep making us, and then find out that brown gene kept coming through. What they do with them brown people?
Ostracized.
Ooh, sounds
Send
like a
them
form of
out.
genocide. That
Send them
sounds
out
like
on
how
a
the European
genocidal
acts
maniac
today, doesn't
mission.
it?
There you go.
But does that sound like the European today are coming back for
Yeah, it
revenge?
does. It
Okay,
sounds like what we're dealing with right now.
absolutely. Now you understand why this show. I had to do this show for my debut. The real get down, because in the real get down we have to deal with the origins. What is the origin? And remember, now we're doing this without any laboratories. We're using connected dot theology, thought process, and our sister Anna Ket have not been privy to the conversations that you and I have had in depth for the last 8 months, getting down to this point. And just from us giving her evidence of what we've come up with, she's come up with, well, wait a minute. If you take these people who are born in one climate, it's not healthy for them in another climate, and then they are, let's say, praised and found out that they weren't fit to rule because they wanted to rule things because they had this problem, because they were praised, and then next you know, the people rebelled on them, and they got hammered on both sides, like you were talking about by the Khans and the Huns and the dark-skinned Europeans. And they get funneled up in ice age. And then, the planet goes 3 degrees off. For what reason? We don't know. We'll get to that maybe on another show. And guess what happens? They're stuck up in these mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, and they're up there in a harsh condition, dealing with life and death struggle, and they're getting angrier and angry, and they're passing on the gene of anger and hatred. And next thing you know, they come up out the mountains as things start thawing out. All right, I got something for y'all.
Hey, I was just thinking of something because there's stories in history where the European, I'm talking about recent history, during the Renaissance and prior, during Renaissance, while Renaissance happened, and pre-Renaissance, where the ones who didn't carry what they considered that strong DNA genetic marker or whatever, they would treat them as lesser than. They'd be like, "You're not a Borgia." I mean, well, actually, let's switch that. You are a Borgia.
Yeah, meaning that you
Then
were
we
from
switch it.
them dark skinned people, and you just all of a sudden became light.
Mm-hmm.
You're them Italians. You really these dark skinned, light skinned people.
Now here goes dealing with the numbers. Okay, we cannot trace back to the first albino. Who was the first albino?
Woo! Sound like
If
somebody's
this ain't
hiding.
Central Asia, can we say that's the origin of them?
Sound like we're talking about somebody hiding.
Eh.
I wonder who's behind all this damn hatred on the planet.
You know, I'm gonna say something too. I'm gonna say something that I probably shouldn't say. I really shouldn't say this. But just what if we open that door, the side, who is really controlling and got all this chaotic stuff going, is an actual black man in albino
Oh,
skin.
you mean a white black man?
I'm just saying.
Are you saying that that person might be albino, and this is the revenge on humanity for being drawn up into
Hey,
those? Hey,
I just find it very interesting that the Ashkenazi Khazarian Jews in Israel consider Switzerland second Israel.
uh huh.
They'll throw the Arizona as the second Israel. No, 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 no.
Oh, wait a
They
minute.
go to Switzerland for vacation.
And where's the power at in the world? Who runs the world? Where's the power at?
Well, the Pope is protected by the Swiss Army.
Yeah. You sure he's protected, or he's a prisoner?
More like a prisoner.
He only looks like he got the power.
I have a question. I'm sure maybe it's been asked once or twice in history. How would one manipulate genes
Uh
without
oh.
actually
Uh
uh, cutting you open or injecting you with something?
uh. Do we
How
want to
would
let
one?
that information out? Do we want to let that information out?
Well, it may be the source to all the questions.
Oh.
We
Well,
things in
I have to say that
absolute.
I feel that speaking, and I don't like speaking for anybody else, but I will at this moment speak for Black Lotus Civilization, Lotus Brother Imru, and myself, aka Waterman. Yeah, now you're starting to get down to the nitty gritty. You're asking the right question. Like Dr. Walter Williams said, I'll answer your question. Just make sure you ask the right question if you want the right answer.
That's right.
So, what are you made of? What is a human being made of? Let's deal with the origins and the basics of the
Are we
so-called
doing that
science
right
of
now?
color.
Oh, okay.
Oh, let's get in, man. Let's get in.
All right.
Let's get in. And then anybody who wants to rebuttal this after they hear this show, we'll bring them in on the next show and they can rebuttal. They can just chop us up, cut our heads off, give us some castor oils, give us some medicine, whatever the case. But let's just go ahead and just put it on out there. What are we made of? You got to know what you're made of in order to deal with, tampering, certain things. Yes.
Water, right? What is it? 98% or something to that effect. Forgive me. I missed those lessons in school.
Hey, I kind of fell asleep too because I was studying other thing, the female persuasion. Wasted a lot of
That's
time on
right.
that.
That's right. Well, I believe they say we're 3/4 water.
Okay.
We're 3/4 water. At the same time, our body's
Aha.
temperature is 98 degrees.
Okay. Oh, let me inject this right quick. For all y'all out there that thought that Lotus was just about languages and metric netter, um, and just think it was language, yeah, you played yourself.
I'm happy that those that thought I was, they never
You
really knew who I was.
see, that's the trap door. See, that's what you be going up against stuff without doing your homework. You should have did your homework. Now you're gonna get that spanking. Here it comes. What are we made of? Sister
I mean,
Anaket asked the question. Well, how do you tamper with the inside of a human body to create an albino?
hmm,
You open up Pandora's box.
hmm. How can we block the carbon from building up in the epidermal during the process of a child being made? That's very, very, very complicated.
Well,
I do know the gatherers were women who gathered up herbs and
mm-hmm,
roots and
mm-hmm,
things. So if anything's
yeah.
tied to food and herbs and stuff like that, that can cause a complexion uh, reflection, might want to look into that.
And you know, not only that, what are main foods grown in?
Oh, the ground.
The
You talking about the
ground. And what
foods
does the
like
ground
herbs
consist
and
of? What does the ground consist of?
dirt and everything that's in
And
it.
rocks.
There you go.
So how
So
does how is a tree affected by rocks?
now
And we're
trees.
remember now we're plant-based animals primarily plant-based. We
That's
work
right.
much like plants.
And
I
carbon.
think I think I think I was awoke in that class.
And carbon. I don't like these words that we're using, by the way. Carbon, oxygen, and all these words. I can't stand
But but
them.
but you have to
But
do that because we have to keep it to where people already have been accustomed to. We
that's
can
right.
break down later what these things are and are not. If you guys want to go ahead and make your pledge to the IMU, a GoFundMe for our $70 million we need for the lab, so we can get to the facts of this from our own perspective, please do so at your at any time. We appreciate it. It's going strictly for the labs in Baja, California. So you know up front what it's for. No secrets, no nothing like that. That's what it's for. The money is to build labs and to try to create um, the Venus Project down in Baja, California. Okay, so now you know. Go ahead, my brother. Break it down. What is the human body consistent of? And answering Sister Anna Ket's question, how can you change, alter the cellular structure of a human being in order to make an albino?
The only way would be to block. I mean, sorry. The only way one could do it would be during the birthing process and blocking the carbon. The only thing is, how do you block the carbon? That means you're gonna have to block what the baby is, how the baby is being fed. The baby is being fed through the umbilical cord. What could cause an albino to be born? Could it be something that was already in the gene, or is it something that was put in? Something we did? Could we have gone down into the wrong part of Earth and stood around and lived around crystals that we shouldn't have been around during a catastrophic event? Possibly. Could it be
It's really
that there are, like I said, herbs and fruits? For instance, kale causes vitiligo. If you eat too much kale, although it's healthy and good for you, causes vitiligo. In fact, you're going to find a lot of these foods will cause, um, uh, I guess, fluctuations of complexion while being in the sun or not being in the sun. It's going to affect you. But to get down to the base root of how to affect that child and cause it to have an albino complexion, I mean, the only way would be how the first albino was born. And nobody really has that answer. Now, if I use the
okay.
science of today,
So let me ask you. So you saying kale? can actually treat an Uncle Ruckus thing.
Mhm.
I'm just joking, y'all.
Reverse vitiligo.
You can kill
See,
a
we can't get.
person can actually create vitiligo. Too much kale in the system. What is kale? What is the vitamin that kale produces that would create that?
I forgot if it's protein or I can't think of it at this moment. But I used to be a kale freak. I used to eat kale chips, all of it.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: Would is kale and seaweed similar in some aspects?
Um, they are kind of. I don't want to say that they are. Besides the flora family, but
Okay, so they come
um,
from the same family
yeah, same.
primarily.
That lettuce, cabbage family of that type of vegetable. Now, there's specific names for it. We want to confuse our family to
No, we
give
don't
out
do
these
that.
specific
We're
names.
just right now. We're
Right.
just setting up future
Just
shows where we're going to take these things out and we're going to explain them and then revert them back to the original show.
The
that's
highest
right.
content in kale is vitamin A.
There you go.
Aha, vitamin A. Okay, I now that Sister Anna Cat has asked this question and Brother Lotus has tried to explain from his perspective, I'm going to give you my perspective on it. My perspective is that the human body is made of electricity. What affects cellular structure is electricity. Distorting of those cells can create this systemic anomaly. Me with a little bit of electrical black background goes to show you that I'm speaking in electrical property terms. And I'm saying that the easy way to do it is just to get this distortion of magnetic field. If you take the magnetic fields altering, let's say in a certain fetus stages of the embryo of development of a child, and you do this with different types of rocks, you could come out with different type of humanoids. I'm attesting to that. Electrical properties from rocks or even chemicals being eaten can all do these alterations. So when it comes down to it, I'm describing to everyone my introductory paper of the trapdoor, where I describe their story, her story, and his story. We're in his story right now, but we're about to end his story and create our story. Our story is I am you. So I just wanted to put that out there to make it very clear the direction we're going in, so no one's misconstrued it on the plight of the humanoid type from a zero civilization to a class one civilization where we use the power of the planet and no one is greater than no one else. I just wanted to put that out there. That's why I say, since we are made of chemical components and we're made of electricity, two things that everyone knows has been in common agreement. That's where you would have to happen. Either it's done naturally or by humans doing it. So remember, the planet has moved 3 degrees off. Does that affect the humanoid? The change of that type of environment, chemicals in the air, does that change that type of environment? The story of Atlantis. Everybody says, where did it go? The story of the dinosaurs. Where did they go? Personally, I don't accept anything about any dinosaur. That stuff is made up to me. Even though one of my brothers tell me there's such thing as dragons. Yeah, when you're a little small dude, you're gonna say a lot of things look bigger than you do. So, and you just described some small people, primarily albinoids, were what? They were primarily small people. That goes to show you that they did not have the height of everything else. Now, if people were small and got big, and you hear this term, the Nephilims are large people and then small people, and you hear all this stuff, and it sounds like to me something was affected the human body for these growth periods to be smaller and some to be larger. And I know I'm only 5'7", being 5'7.5" or so. I'm taller than my father, much taller than my father and my mother, but my children are much taller than me, and this is happening. I'm testing a lot of this to magnetic fields. I look at my son's friends, and they're all look like big feet. They big, they tall, they thick. Is this due to the stuff that we're ingesting in our body? So anyway, I want to get back to this whole thing about changing of the cell in the body that may have caused the abonoids. If it would it be wilder to say that the abonoids were the first people on the planet? Can we go as far as to say that?
Hold on
Anybody
one
else?
moment, family.
The first peoples of the planet.
Of the planet. I want to throw that out as a conjecture. Is it possible?
I don't know. Anything is possible.
Okay.
I got to really digest that one.
I mean, our planet goes through changes on this planet. We attest everything as if it was warm first and not cold first. You know what I'm getting at?
Okay, now you're hitting on something because we've had
I'm going back to your story.
no, but we also have had conversations about blood type, and they say A is the oldest, and A does not come from us. Most of us are old, so
Hey,
A comes
I,
from where?
once again, I'm trying to give the story as other people have told it to me to bolster their argument. Remember,
Uh-huh.
one of our brothers in the cosmic community say, "Oh, this is the old blood type," and I go, "Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Majority of people on the planet are what?"
Oh,
But he says A is the oldest.
that's what he said. A was the oldest.
Look at the
So
regions that A comes from.
go, maybe you are on to something.
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe.
we have this backwards.
Maybe we
So
were
the
told it backwards to protect the guilty.
right, and there's a blood type that can be given to every other blood type, isn't it right? But it can't accept other blood types. What's up with that? Can't get a blood transfusion with certain blood types. I mean, it slips my mind at the moment. I used to be heavy into knowing that stuff by heart. Just haven't really had the love for it like I used to. But it's very interesting that when it comes to blood types, there's an actual physical response and physical reaction. You know, well, a physical reaction and a physical response. That when you do a blood transfusion with certain people, that blood does not mix right. In fact, you'll get sick. Some might even die by getting the transfusion of somebody who has the blood that doesn't match or is not compatible with yours. That would mean that whoever has uh, that blood type that's able to be given to everybody, wouldn't that be a key source?
Yeah, I'll
Or
tell
would
you
it
what.
be one created before that created that type of blood type in order to survive?
I wonder what type of blood type albinoids have.
Yeah, let's look that up. Don't want to drown the family with the albino information,
Oh no, we
but we
no.
have
I
to
want it.
continue.
I want
So
them to get it. I want them to get this full blast, bro. This
the
is like a
albino
taboo
blood
subject,
types.
man. It's like a
Yep.
taboo subject. I'm like, where are all these albinos, man? Where they at? You only see one or two hanging around. Where are these people at?
Then you look up pictures in Africa, it's like tens of them. Like, what's going on here? Albino Zulu, what? Albino Awe. Awe Vodooms? They got albino Awe Vodooms.
Hey, it's just like we found out that from her story to his story, most of everything was a matriarchal society. And then it all of a sudden moved to a patriarchal society. Am I saying that right, guys?
Mm, yeah.
Okay, so it went from female to male. That's why I say when I do this trap door and I send it out to the family and the public, I'm gonna be strictly talking about that one thing. Who's on first? What's on second?
That's right.
So
I'm
we
trying to
have
get
these.
down
So
this.
so does what type of blood type does an abonoid person primarily have? Because I'm pretty sure an abonoid should be able to give blood to another abonoid because of their so much similarity and non-similarity that we have. So
And I'm loading it up right now as we speak. It's taking a long time though.
now,
But
see,
albino blood types. Let me look it up
hmm
on this phone. What is the blood type of the albino, or what is the blood type? Okay. So albinism is an inherited condition present at birth characterized by a lack of pigment that normally gives color of the skin, hair, and eyes. Many types of albinism exist, all of which involve lack of pigment in varying degrees. The condition, which is found in all races, may be accompanied by eye problems and may lead to skin cancer later in life. Come on, let me scroll down. I think the screen share is messing me up.
we'll take it off the screen share. This is something else. Are we really getting down to the real nitty gritty get down? Why you don't hear this on these other platforms about albinism in our
And you know
greater
what's very
conscious community?
interesting? Baba TV, that brother is a very tall albino.
Look at that. Look at that.
Is that what he
Uh-huh.
is? Because I was trying to figure him out.
See, I just want to know where they all at. They're being born. I want to know where they all at. Where they be at? Are they being snatched up in experimentation, or are they the wizard behind the door? Because it's just like, I'm looking at how you can take an albinoid, can produce any type of group of people, and you got people of our hue, commonly known as the Negroid or black people, can produce damn near any type of people, you know. But the Caucasianoid, it's like the buck stops with them, where they can only produce what? Anything they get with them, but they can't produce anything dark. Doesn't it seem kind of something doesn't seem kind of suspicious there? You never seen an Asian with an Asian have somebody dark. I'm talking about the light or Caucasian type Asians. I'm not talking about the ones in the Tibetan mountains and so forth. The one I'm just talking about the one that's presented in front of everybody as you know the ruling class of these groups. Just like back in the days of the interrogation of the internment camps, better known as slavery times. If a slave master's wife had a dark skinned baby, he gonna take it up with somebody else in here. You know what I'm getting at? But if that baby came out white, he never questioned it. You see where I'm getting at?
Yeah.
But now the question is that we have a lot of people over here thinking that most of the, at least in the Western Hemisphere, think that most of the light skinned brothers and sisters come from, right? From the injustice done to the raping done to the indigenous people and the mistreatment of the native peoples of this land. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, get this thing again. What we got going on here? So they didn't have this over here then, did they? Does anybody see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely. You talk about the problem that the indigenous people on this side of the world didn't, the problems
Did
they
not
didn't
have.
have that
Right.
we see happening. Not only
Right.
that, the Australians, the Papua New Guinea,
Right. All the people in the
Hawaii,
South Pacific. South Pacific.
yeah, the whole South Pacific. And remember, I tell people it's very interesting that the real ancient stuff that happened on this side of the planet happened on the West Coast. All those stories of Native Americans on the East Coast and stuff, when it comes down to that, there is no history until the 14th century. And you can tie that into the actual albino information of the people who were running away from the incoming albinos and said, we don't want nothing to do with this, we're out. And then they'll slap Franks on it and you think it's white people. They slap France on it and you thinking it's white people.
Right, because that's the mindset they're trying to make you sure you only see it in that respect.
That's right. So I mean, that's like really one of the main targets of my that I'm aiming at.
I be trying to keep it real. Where I'm like, hey, look here, this is the real get down. We was all over this planet as a group of people, but I also want to make this statement loud and clear. Don't nobody decide what color they want to be. It's not like you walked up to how you gonna come on this planet. Well, no, I want to be this. No, I don't want to be that. No, no, no. And you get what you got.
Okay.
You become what you are. Go ahead. You got that info?
Okay. Yeah. So far, I got something that says RH negative blood in the albino link general chat. The albino gene is recessive as is the RH negative blood type. On David
And I
Icke's
remember
official
now.
forum. On David Icke's. David Icky. Sticky, icky, icky. David Icke.
Remember, bro, I did not know that till you told me that, but I had suspicion.
I mean, that's just one of them. I got other stuff on it, but that's just one. What do they call the RH thing?
I
Is that
call it the
the
monkey
rhesus
gene.
monkey or something?
Rhesus monkey gene.
Oh no, man!
That's
Come
because these
on.
people came out them caves full of hair. How you gonna survive in cold if your body don't adapt and put on hair? The one they run
Man.
around there calling a Neanderthal.
Oh no.
That's them albino
Nah,
people.
They feeding dog to cats out here. Come
The
on.
gig is up, man. The gig is up. Them
They
hairy
feeding
people
lions
coming
to
out.
antelope out there with that. It's just nah. Mm-mm.
Oh, the jig is up, bro.
They gonna tie it in on David Sticky Icky Icky. Oh man.
Like who's gonna listen to him?
He's trying to keep y'all from knowing that he's a third generation albino himself.
Yeah, he's telling about his history. You see, for all of you who did not know, the so-called Rhesus gene or Rhesus monkey is better known as the Caucasianoid. It's actually the albino people. Now y'all know. You heard it
That's
first
right.
here on the
So
Real
that's
Get
the
Down.
esoteric. Hold on, I gotta throw this one in. That's not the transliteration. That's not the translation. That's
Uh-oh.
not the
Uh-oh.
deciphering. It's the
Uh-oh.
esoteric.
Boy, they got tens of miles and thousands of labels on a mayonnaise jar, and it's still a goddamn jar. That's what it is, man. So now, soon on our next coming up show, we'll start getting down to who's in power, who is behind the Wizard of Oz screen. We're showing you some groundwork on that right now. Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, I got some more stuff on it. Albinoism is a range of disorders varying in severity. They are all caused by a reduction of absence of the pigment melanin, often causing white skin, light hair, and vision problems. The condition affects an estimated 1 in 17,000 people globally. So 1 in every 17,000 person born, we have an albino.
So what you have to do is 1 in 17,000, you divide 17,000 into how many people on the planet. How many people on the planet? Some 7.5 million, or 6 or 7 million. 7 million divided by 17,000. That tells you how many albinos on the planet, and tell me if you've seen anywhere measurement closer than many people.
Now, family, in sub-Saharan Africa, the rate of albinism is around 1 in 5,000. But in
Wow,
Europe
very
and
high.
America,
Uh-huh.
it is closer to 1 in 20,000.
Uh-huh. So in other words, like I've been saying, they didn't brought that shit over here. It wasn't here.
Bingo in the gringo hole.
Now everybody talks about, I always want references, this and that. The references are there for you to see it if you can connect the dots. Do the numbers game. Get away from them calendars. Stop looking so much at those maps. Maps are somewhat conclusive because the size of the continents, as far as in retrospect, not the exact size, but the continents themselves are what they are. When it's really only, maybe what, four continents? Because in Americas is North and South. That's at the divides and everything. But when you really look at it, you really only have maybe, you got Antarctica, South Pole, North Pole, Australia, the Americas, uh, Asia, and what they call Africa. That's the only continents there is, people. All this other stuff about Asia and Europe is the same damn continent, people. Pretty much is. And if it's anywhere attached to Africa, then that's only one continent. Just let a little bit of water separate it don't mean it's not a continent. If they connect, I mean, Baja connected to California, they call it Baja, California.
Right.
And then they're islands. If the land masses touch, they're part of that one continent. And the debris, which is islands, is really part of that continent as well. So when it really comes down to it, how many continents do we have? Four? Is it one?
Right.
Americas, Europe, North and South, and Australia. That's it. Five continents.
I got some. I got the pinnacle of information on the albino thing. I have a whole. I have a website. On albinos. It's mind blowing. And when it gets to types of albinos, it says albinism is split into a number of subgroups depending on the specific genes that are affected. Oh no.
Okay, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a part two.
Yeah, we might
Uh,
have to. Well, let me go through this, and then we'll
you're
go
gonna
over it.
go
This
through
is
that,
part
and
two
then we're
anyway.
gonna we're gonna we're gonna start closing out the show. But we are gonna go
Right.
part two. Albinoids, part two. That's what we're gonna
Right.
do. For all those that hear that, you're gonna find us at the same time, probably next Friday. But we'll go live, so just lock into that mode, and then when we go live, you'll get it pinged. We're trying to get it to where our brothers and sisters on the East Coast are can chime in on this information, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get some backlash about the Abenoids being truly the origins of the Caucasianoids, and we actually connected the dots for you. And we want people to come in and tell us that we're wrong. If we're wrong, we're wrong. But make sure you got your facts right, because we loosely did this. We're going to have our P's and Q's in locked mode on our next live show. But go ahead, my brother Lotus. Go ahead and lock in. And Sister Anaketa, if you got any questions right now, because you were great help and showing how easy it was to bring this together if you just pay attention.
No questions. I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna do some research.
it sound like you got something to look into, and you sound a little bit excited about this. Is information, real information.
Yeah, I mean anything to do with science and just really trying to understand the origins of everything. Um, I'm definitely interested in, and this is something that we do not touch on. It is the albino. It's like they're totally ignored. We're only
Mm-hmm.
dealing with Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, but we're
Mm-hmm.
not dealing with the albino. It's just like they're not even existent. And then when we see
Yeah.
one, we're staring like, okay,
Yeah.
where do you fit in all this?
Yeah.
You,
Sounds like taboo, right?
yeah, it's like when you see one, you're staring. because I stare and I'm trying to figure it all out, but we don't talk about it. It's just like they're ignored, in other words.
It's wildly too because the way you broke it down, how they were ended up in the Caucasus Mountains, and they came down, and the people may have thought, "Hey, man, we thought these people had died off." They go welcome them with open arms, and they get the dog shit kicked out of them because they're mad. You know what I mean? It's thought out. They come down in with a vengeance. And if I'm correct, did you not speak, Brother Lotus, about the waves of how these albinos took over Europa?
Millions by the millions.
So I guess they weren't up there just sleeping with dogs and bears in the mountain. They was making peoples for revenge, right?
Hey, what did Drake say? Coming
What do you
for
say?
revenge.
Okay. Remember now, the two strongest human emotions deal with love, jealousy, and revenge. We're in the age of revenge right now. And what started it off was jealousy. Jealousy and envy with jealousy started it off. Now we're in the revenge stage, and we have to get back to loving the planet and loving one another. But some of this stuff had to come out in the wash, and then maybe we're at the pinnacle where this grand hatred, like I said, where we out here on this part of the hemisphere, or the part of the world, I do not feel there's no evidence of us doing any of this heinous stuff that took place over on the other side. Now we're at why this may have taken place. Maybe we opened up Pandora's box and some thoughts in people's mind on how this has transgressed into even their own chemical makeup or what they declare as DNA. This may have been passed on, this hatred thing. So I'm going to let Brother Lotus go on in that, and then we're going to be closing out the show very shortly.
Yeah, can I just touch
That's
on
right.
Go
one,
ahead.
just
Oh, no,
one,
no, go ahead. Jump in, babe.
one,
Jump in,
one
please.
before we close it out, and maybe people can really think about this in a more research type of way. I was watching a National Geographic documentary on the origins of humanity. And in South Africa, they went deep down in the cave and they said that they found um, right before we became Homo sapiens sapiens. And it looked something like a gorilla. And I had a difficult time trying, and we've had these conversations before. I have a difficult time seeing myself, my people, my ancestors walking upright, looking the way that we look, and saying that we came from apes. Because I'm still waiting for the ape to continue to reproduce into a human as of today. I haven't seen it yet. They are apes or monkeys or whatever you want to call them. I haven't seen them turn human. I have a hard time with that. So I'm trying to just say maybe we are human. We have always been human, and the difficulties and the things that we're finding today between the races have a lot to do maybe with the albinism and them having to leave, them getting caught into the ice age, them becoming more and more angry that they were cast out and now they are back for revenge. It's just something to think about, because I do have a hard time thinking I am part of a great ape. That's all that I wanted to say on that.
It's very interesting that you say that because when the Royal Society took over, the word uh, pygmy actually means chimpanzee. So the first thing they started saying was, look, we're finding all these bones and they're going back 3 million years, 5 million years, but they look like monkeys. And then you go back and say, wait a minute, did the study of finding human remains and doing all these things exist before the Royal Society came in and said that pygmy is chimpanzee? It's very interesting, ties into the 1/3 human, not full human. It was like a reverse albino philosophy. I have so much more on just what you said, Sister Anuket. It's amazing. But we're definitely going to save that for next week. Oh, and I wanted to go over before we close out for the family We have some information, as I said, the albinism is split into a number of subgroups depending on specific genes that are affected. These subgroups include the following: Ocholocotineous albinism, OCA. I'm saying it very slow for the family. OCA, caused by a mutation in one of four genes. OCA is further split into 7 types depending on the mutations. These subdivisions include OCA type 1. Individuals tend to have milky skin, white hair, with blue eyes. With age, some individuals' skin and hair may darken. OCA 2, similar to type 1, and occurs most often in sub-Saharan Africans, African Americans, and Native Americans, not indigenous Americans. OCA type 3 occurs mostly in Black South Africans. OCA type 4 occurs most often in East Asian populations. And when we continue reading and going further in on this information, it's going to be a very, very shocking set of videos that our family really needs to wake up to. We need to know what's really going on. We can't have the elite dancing in Bohemian Grove or going to Bohemia, Russia, going to Egypt and running everything, running the whole planet, and we're just sitting here yelling black power. We have no power. We're crying about white supremacy, but we have black inferiority. So we need to get down to the bottom of these things. This is a thing that is important. This is important. I want the family to know that. This is not some information that one just stumbles upon. We just wanted to give it to you raw. Because when we come with this next time, it's going to make you really question a lot of your history books. It's going to make you question all your calendars. It's going to make you question all your stories that you've been told. It should already be bubbling in your head that we might need to rethink everything that supposedly happened during any time predating the Gregorian calendar, tied into this very topic of albinos. And we definitely will have to touch on King Alba as well. Brother IMU, Anuket, and the family, thank you for allowing me to share this information and build this dialogue so the brothers and sisters can get an understanding of a wide variety of research that we need to know. It's not about knowing everything, but at least get to know that everything exists. It's not just about knowing that everything exists. It's about knowing why everything exists. Do we really have to go down that continuous, long, winding spiral to nowhere philosophy? No. So let's cut all that out, cut this psychological middleman out of our own minds and get it together and get down to the bottom of all these things. That's what we should do. It's the only thing that's going to work.
Okay, everybody, you can see that that's what we consider to be important for our people, is to get down to the origins and agree and remove the mysticism, and most importantly, get you to start looking things from a different perspective. Maybe we're missing something because we've been brought into thinking that there's only one way to look at something. So with that being said, now we're going to close out of the show right here. I want to say thank you to Sister Anaket and Brother Amu from Black Lotus Civilization. And we're going to be presenting to you some things like KEEP, emergency evacuation, that's going to help young people learn how to exactly what to do in emergency situations so that you're not caught off guard. So it's emergency evacuation, prevention. Okay, we want to make sure you understand that we want our people to survive in any given situation. We're going to start with our youth, and then maybe adults will come in. We're going to have We look to hopefully have this in Sister Anna Ket's backyard. She has some property down there. I'm trying to get some of the people who may hear this to get the ear of Mr. Dr. Omar Johnson that he has $2.5 million. We would like to have that place be the new learning center and exploratory. And like I said, I'm going to be going this summertime down into Baja, looking to obtain some property so that we can actually have labs down there. And it's mainly based upon cleansing, learning how to learn and unlearn certain behavioral patterns that have been ingested us under this affliction from these the invaders of the lands, and not only that, their whole ideology of how we're supposed to live. You know, there is a better way. I want to say thank you um, I would like to say a shout out to the virtual TV. I'd like to say a shout out to Israel Doctrine. I'd like to say a shout out to our back chat people. No matter how much differences we have, this is about learning and finding out how to communicate. That's why I declare it as IMU. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little snippet from the Beast of No Nation from Fela Kuti. Okay? And he was a great musician. Just to let you guys know that he was thrown out of a window for his protest on his policies on politics. They actually killed his mother in front of him. So you can see that when you say something that makes a difference, you actually are putting your life and your family members' lives on the line, because that's why truth is only from perspective, but evidence is something no one can deny or lie. I want to say thank you, and we're going to be signing off. This is The Real Get Down. I am your brother Walter Mann, a.k.a. for the I Am Nation. Find a Nation Foundation. Thank you very much.